Hello and welcome. My name is James Wynn, and I'm the Director of Business Development at Attorney Credits. In today's presentation, we will be discussing how you can take actionable steps within your existing practice website to make an immediate improvement in your SEO rankings. To discuss this topic in greater detail, we are joined today by Chris Dreyer, CEO of Rankings.io. Chris, welcome.
Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Thanks, James. I really appreciate it. So a little bit about me, and we won't stay on this very long. I've been doing SEO for about 12 years, and I've been in the legal vertical specifically for around 7 years. We work with hundreds of firms throughout the US and some internationally. And a lot of what we're going to be talking about is, optimization best practices specifically for lawyers. And we're also going to, in this webinar, it's not just going to be the generic crap that you see everywhere on the internet. We're actually going to have give away some goodies that we do specifically that makes a big difference for on-site SEO. So, and one other thing, guys, I know you may have some questions, but if you just put those in the chat, we'll address those at the very end. So if you think of something throughout the webinar that we're talking about, just put that in the chat and then I'll address that at the end. So to get started, what is on-site SEO? It's basically everything that encompasses optimizing your site for best practices for SEO and to get ranking visibility. It's utilizing your keywords effectively, having a strong user experience, and setting your site up for machine learning and AI based upon what Google calls rank brain. And we're going to be talking about this throughout the presentation, but overall, the three main components of SEO are links, content, and rank brain. And this is a big component of rank brain. So to get started, it all begins with your keywords. So you can have the fastest website, you can have the best structure, but if you're not targeting keywords that have search volume, it's going to end there. So we're not going to stay on this very long, but I'm going to show you a few ways that I specifically do keyword research. So let me flip over to a dynamic presentation here, guys. The first tool that I use, and this is a paid tool, I don't get anything for mentioning this, but I use arefs.com, and on their menu there is a keyword explorer option. So if you're a personal injury attorney, and you can type this in for any legal service, but you can go here, go to keyword explorer, you can type in a few of your phrases, and it's going to calculate the search volume for these phrases. And it'll just be a moment here, and I'll give you an idea what this looks like. So it's going to show you the difficulty score. The higher the number, the more difficult it is. It'll show you what it would cost for AdWords. It'll show you the search volume opportunities, and you can drill down into your city or state to get this information. I find this is more comprehensive or a better tool than, let's say, Google Keyword Planner. Another strong method of doing keyword research is you can take your competitors, and let's just throw in here Dolman Law. They have this top pages area, and you can see which pages are driving the most traffic on their website. So instead of reinventing the wheel and trying to determine what keywords you need to target, you can actually do a top pages report directly on your competitors. So Ahrefs is a very strong tool for keyword research. I really like it. And this is the other one that I use, and I use this one more for blog content development. And this site's really goofy looking, I know. The site's answerthepublic.com. So if you were going to do research, let's say you're a criminal defense attorney, and you want to think about topic ideas for, let's say, the category of assault, this is going to propagate all of the prepositions and questions that are asked about assault. How, why, when, what, are, and you can get this data and it makes phenomenal topics. It allows you to target keywords that have searcher intent. Things like, can assault be a misdemeanor? And other related queries are in here that are just phenomenal blog topics. These are actually questions that your consumers are asking. So instead of, during the week trying to think of a topic ad hoc, you can use the Ahrefs Content Explorer. You can check out top pages. You can use this answerthepublic.com. And then you can also do LSI-based searches, and that's basically related queries. So if I'm a personal injury lawyer and I type in personal injury lawyer, if you scroll down to the very bottom, you're going to see related phrases to that topic, and these can also be strong pages to put on your site. So the thing that I'm trying to emphasize here is choosing the right phrases is absolutely essential, because if it doesn't have search volume, then you're basically spinning your wheels. And without going too much into this, there's certain keywords that may have search volume. Let's say brain injury attorney. Even though those may have a low impression share, they may be high ROI generating cases. But in some cases, like brain injury, the person typing that in may be another attorney. Keyword density is a phrase that in the past was used a lot because people would just jam the keyword all over the page and try to manipulate Google. And in the past, they didn't have great filters to prevent this. So when you identify your keywords, the first thing I can tell you is you want to have a dedicated landing page around the segment that you're covering. So if it's car accidents, you want to use auto accident, motor vehicle lawyer, collision, wreck, crash, all of those phrases on one page. And it needs to be one long form page of copy, because there's just war of attrition going on. A few years ago, everyone said you need to write 500-word landing pages. Well, now there's studies out there that say, the average first page result is 1,890 words. What I'm trying to emphasize here is you need to use your keywords strategically through the copy, but the content that you create needs to be really high quality, and it needs to be very thorough in order to rank. So if you have a situation where maybe you have a lot of backlinks, but your keywords aren't ranking, it could be a situation where you need to create more long form content and increase the density or the numbers of those keywords used strategically through the copy would be a great help. LSI keywords, those are those synonymous terms that I was mentioning. So literally any time that you have a keyword that you're trying to optimize for, here is personal injury lawyer. If you did assault lawyer, you could even do it by geo. These phrases down here can make strong subheaders to create that long form content. It's just another way to optimize your content for the search engines. Let's talk about placement next. This is something that gets, in my opinion, a little overemphasized, but there are some important locations that your keyword needs to go. So let's just take a look from the live version. If we're targeting the word auto accidents, it first needs to go in the title tag area. That's this location at the top. If you're using WordPress, you can make these changes through the Yoast plugin or the all-in-one SEO plugin. And we go to inspect this, we right click. Actually, sorry, let me back up a bit. View the page source. It's going to be wrapped in these title fields. This is the title tag area. That's a very important area to optimize for the keyword. The other locations that you need to pay attention to are your H1 or header tags. And then of course it needs to be in the copy. And for this example, it actually could be a little bit better. right at the top, we have car accident attorneys. The word accident is a little bit redundant. If we were going to improve this page, we could use the word injury. So you want to avoid repeating the phrases at the top. So one of the things that I like to do, and I'll just pop open a notepad really quick, is when I'm optimizing for the title tag location, I like to put the keyword plus lawyer plus city plus state. And as an example, let's do car accident lawyer, Clearwater, Florida. That would be an excellent title tag. It's within the character limit, and it includes both the city and the state. That's just one example. It's just really important that you only try to optimize for one main city per page, because there's just not enough character space up in the title tag, and that you do include those keywords in this location because it's the first area that Google reads. When we're talking about title tags, let's give an example of it after a search query. So when I do a search query for personal injury lawyer, this is the title tag. This is what I'm referring to. This is the first thing that Google reads. It's probably the most important on-site element to have on your website. The other thing I want to mention, and I see this quite frequently, is the title tags have to include the geography phrase. Because if they don't, you're basically competing nationwide, and your competition pool just enhances greatly. So you want to make sure that you're using the title tag and the geo in this location. So it's best practice to always use a unique title tag per page. I know I see a lot of times, let's say someone's trying to optimize for personal injury attorney, they'll include that at the end on every page. That's actually redundant. Google doesn't like it. It actually will give you errors in your Search Console report. So it's just important to have unique title tags per page, and to include not only the geo, the phrase, and the word attorney or lawyer, because those are those direct intent or purchase intent phrases that will lead to conversions versus informational queries that would be better optimized for a blog. They do have to be around 55 to 65 characters. Google's been playing around with this. I've seen situations where they even show up to 85 characters, but I would say, at this point in time, I would stick between 55 and 65. After they remove the right-hand sidebar Google AdWords ads, they expanded this area a little bit, but I would still stay between that 55 to 65 character limit. Your headers, also referred to as your H1 tags, they should include your keywords. And quite often when you're using a site when you're using WordPress CMS, they'll already be included in the title name. How you can check this is just hover over your title, right click and go to inspect. And you're looking for this H1 wrapped around the phrase. And if you have other phrases, you can include those as H2s, but it needs to break down and only have one H1 per page. So just double check your content, make sure it's an H1. If it's not, let's say the title is an H2 or a span, you can change this with the CSS and it will change site-wide, so you don't have to do it manually on every single page. Again, they should include keywords, but let's say your title tag is car accident lawyer, Clearwater car accident lawyer, and your H1, I would use a varying phrase. You might say auto injury attorney Clearwater, because we're already optimized or targeting the word car accident lawyer. It's best practice to use as many synonyms as possible. And also in your images, Google, how it reads images is by crawling the alt text. Those are premier locations to include a keyword that may not necessarily read well when you're trying to write an article. So that's another location that you can use. The meta descriptions is the content that follows a title tag. So let me jump over here. This is a query for Clearwater personal injury lawyer. And guys, I'm just using this as an example. It could be bankruptcy, it could be criminal defense, but this is just an example. This area is the meta description area. Now there's some that state that, having the keywords in here may not necessarily help SEO. But what I can tell you is if you have a strong call to action or you have some good social proof types of points, maybe you say you're award-winning, experienced, top rated, as long as those are all within advertising ethics, this can help you capture a click-through as opposed to something that's not optimized. So let me try to find one that's not optimized. These are all pretty good on the first page, and that's one of the reasons why they're on the first page. But if you don't, you need to include a call to action statement or a social proof based statement here to capture the query. I would say this is a little bit more low hanging fruit compared to title tags and H1s. However, it is something that you can do for your pages that receive the most traffic. You don't necessarily have to do it for every single page, because Google, regardless if you enter this or not on, let's say, your Yoast plugin or you do it manually, they're going to actually crawl one and put it in themselves. So if you leave it out, it's okay. Just know that it could help you capture some queries. And how you check that, and we're on this auto accident page again, you can actually go to view page source, and you're going to be looking for the description area. So let's see here, right here, meta name description. And that's where it's going to be updated. So you can do it manually by typing in the code, or you can use something like Yoast. So again, the most important thing I can stress is, when you've identified a keyword, you want to think about all of the synonyms and related phrases and questions that may be approached around that topic. So not only from an SEO standpoint, but also from a user standpoint, you want to help the consumer answer their questions. It's good to answer the questions. A lot of times, if you can answer the question, it may avoid you some headache on a phone call that maybe a potential prospect isn't qualified. And I want to give you an example of an attorney that is just doing this phenomenally. And this is Rosenfeld Injury Lawyers in Chicago. And I just went to his car accident page. When you guys have some time, if you don't do anything else, check out this landing page, because this is one of the best landing pages there are in the legal space for car accidents. And I want to point out why this is strong. First, he's got his car accident attorneys in the title tag. He's also has Illinois auto injury law. So he has, the city and state geo. He says car and auto, accident and injury, and attorneys, lawyers, and law firm, all within the title tag. So you're optimizing for all the phrases. H1 targets his main keyword. Well, what's interesting is you're going to see a lot of text. Here's motor vehicle crash, related phrase. Car accident case, causes of car accidents, the different types. So when scrolling through this, you're going to see all these different related phrases, and it just gives Google the opportunity to rank more words and phrases on this page than if you had a 300 or 400 word landing page. It's an extreme example of best practice. And so if you have a highly competitive keyword that you're trying to rank for, one of the things that you can do is create a phenomenal landing page, but also make sure that you're using those synonyms, and then also build backlinks to that page. And let's just quickly, just to give you an idea, and we'll talk about content and long form content. Let's get an idea of how long this page is. It's around 2,500 words. So when you're in a situation looking at your content that's 500 words, and you're trying to understand why he has so many organic keywords that he's ranking for, it's because of the copy and how he's used them in the landing page. We're going to flip over to this article next. Now, I know Gary just sent an article recently that kind of was backtracking on this, but this is directly from the horse's mouth, guys. This is Google stating their top 3 factors are links, content, and rank brain. And again, content we've been talking about, which is your targeting keywords properly, using those synonyms, and rank brain is their machine learning, is their AI, and having a good quality user experience. It's using keywords properly, having strong content, having a site that loads quickly, having good architecture, menu navigation, and internal linking. So this is directly from the horse's mouth. There's over 200 ranking signals, and these are the top 3. So it's just emphasizes the importance of having this set up properly. The next thing a lot of people talk about is the content hierarchy. And the reason this is important is because you need to write under main themes because it builds relevance and it will help the user navigate throughout your website. To give you an example of that, let's say that you are a personal injury attorney. You may have all of your injuries, brain injuries, slip and fall, all of those under one category, and your motor vehicle accidents may seed under a motor vehicle tab. So car, auto, truck, motorcycle, all of those types of phrases. And to give you an example of what I believe is best practice, here's a website, and it is targeting DUI, personal injury, criminal defense. And for personal injury, if you see down in the bottom left, they're all, let me just open one of these tabs for personal injury. They're all seated under the injury subfolder. Just makes it clean. It makes it easy for Google to crawl the page. We're going to talk more about permalinks in a moment, but in this location, it's very important to see these. One of the worst mistakes I see frequently is when a user has a website and it will say practice areas right here, because this permalink is constrained to a character limit, just like title tags. So if you have the word practice areas here, that's a big mistake, and you should be utilizing that space with a keyword. Back to content. So we're talking about long form content. We're talking about synonyms. I want to show you this article. This is an article from Brian Dean. He's a prominent SEO specialist. He does a lot of affiliate marketing. He has some exceptional content. He did a study where he analyzed 1 million search results. And what he found, let me scroll to the relevant point. After removing all outliers, pages that were longer in content ranked significantly better than shorter content. In fact, the average word count of a Google first page result is 1,890 words. So we looked at Rosenfeld's at 2,500. This is proof that it's up to 1,890 words. If you do a query for Los Angeles car accident lawyer and you take a look at Michael Eline's page, who does really well for Los Angeles car accident lawyer, that page is 13,000 words long. And that is the reason why those pages are ranking better, is because they have high quality long form content. And there's this war of attrition going on. If you're in a large metropolitan area and you're a personal injury lawyer, everyone's going to have a car accident page. So if you have a 500-word car accident page and someone else does, there's no competitive advantage there. However, if you have a 2,000-word page that really emphasizes and covers the material in more scope, using those keyword analysis tools I mentioned earlier, it just separates you from the herd, and it will create basically a gap or barrier of entry to help you rank better in the search engines. The next thing that I see frequently overlooked is on-site optimizing your attorney bio page. So there's a few things that are really important here. The reason why the bio page is important is if you look at your Google Analytics, frequently besides your homepage, most of the time your bio is going to be the second most visited page on your site, because prospective clients, they have mobile devices at hand, and when they have many options, they have many choices of who they should hire or should they hire an attorney. So you want to make it very easy to find your bio page. So that means optimizing for your name and your personal brand. You want to set up the site with what's called person schema, and that's a code that will allow your profile to show up stronger in the rich snippets. And you want to make sure to use a keyword on your bio page. So let's take a look at this. Here's a client of ours. This is Gabriel Levin of Levine Injury Firm. So when we take a look at his bio, Philadelphia car accident attorney Gabriel Levin. So it doesn't just have Gabriel Levin. So it gives him additional opportunities to rank for a keyword phrase because it's a highly visited page. It's a highly relevant page. And this is his most important keyword. So he's including it on his bio. So it's best practice to use that full 65 character limit space. The other thing that I can say is I would encourage you not to have just an our team page where everyone's listed, because there is branded searches and you may have some attorneys that get some media attention, or they have their own personal brand and following. You want to have a unique page per attorney on the website. Technical SEO is, there's all kinds of components that go into technical SEO. A lot of times, in my opinion, this is a little overemphasized, because if you do things right with keyword targeting, title tags, and strong copy, a lot of times that can help you more so than the actual technical in the weeds SEO. There are a few things that will greatly affect your chances to be seen, though. The first thing, and we talked about this, and I'm sorry this is a little blurry here, but optimizing your URLs properly is a huge competitive advantage. And I want to show you a structure that I strongly recommend. And I want to go back to this Baltimore site. One of the things that's important to do, remember, is to not use practice areas in this subfolder. Use a geo. What happens here is it allows you to scale for multiple locations, because there's other nearby cities. There's other nearby locations, maybe you're Long Island, maybe it's towns that you can rank for. So because this is constrained to a character limit and you have a geo city name keyword here, this is going to help you dramatically for location-based searches, as well as if you have multiple locations and addresses, you can set up your Google My Business profile to use this as a destination page if you have multiple locations. There's one site, forthepeople.com, that has multiple locations all across the US, and they are seeding all of their root pages with locations. So if you take a look at all of these, they're all unique. It's a great way to scale. So if you're dominating your local metro, consider creating unique copy to target other locations, and just make sure that the permalink structure is proper. I'm gonna type really quickly here, guys, just an example of my favorite permalink structure, so that if you have a new site or if you want to have your web developers update the structure, I prefer site.com geo keyword lawyer. To give you an example, I'm just going to make one up. Let's see here. Rice Law MD, Baltimore criminal defense lawyer. If you follow this structure, it stands a significantly higher chance of ranking than ricelawmd.com/practice areas, criminal law. because there's so much competition, you want to utilize a geo not only in the title tag, but also in your permalink structure. Now, it goes without saying that you don't want, and I know this is blurry, but question, page, underscore, ID, you definitely want to use keywords in this location. The next thing that's talked a lot about is structured markups, and Google is releasing more and more of these. And basically, it's a code that you can use and insert on your website to get more rich information after a query. The ones that, as an attorney, that you should pay most attention to are attorney schema, because it denotes that you are a law firm. Person schema, which is for your bios. Every bio page should have person schema. You should have organization schema, and also social media schema to promote your social media profiles. But the most important, in my opinion, that stands the highest competitive advantage for you is review schema. And with review schema, you can actually show your results in the search engines with stars. Here's an example. I did a query for Atlanta personal injury lawyer, and I'm using forthepeople.com as another example. If we scroll down, we see John Foy, Henningsen and Kalka in the map pack with the stars for social proof. But if you scroll down to the organic results, you're going to see something stand out here. Right here, it says review by Frank Thomas. This is what's called review schema. So you can, as you can imagine, if you're in the third or fourth position or in organic, this stands a significantly higher chance of getting a click-through because it already has social proof within the result. To show you how Morgan & Morgan's doing this, and you can kind of backtrack a little bit, just type in that query, Atlanta personal injury lawyer, go to the page, and they're putting it in the sidebar right here. So if you look at the inspect this with a page, view page source, and type in the word schema, the first thing you're going to see is they have the legal service schema, which is what I was recommending as one of those top elements. But then they also have this review schema. So this is what allows you to show up in the search engines. This is what you should take to your web developer or your SEO specialist and have them insert that for you. One thing that I will say about this is you need to pull from your own website. Let me make that clear. You don't want to pull externally from your Google My Business. So just make sure the review is actually located on your website. It's very important because otherwise you'll be breaking the terms of service. It may work for a little while, but eventually Google may catch on. Another piece of the SEO puzzle that's often overlooked is the sitemap. The reason a sitemap is so important is because it helps Google find your pages. It helps Google crawl the pages, and it also will disperse your link equity from a link building campaign. One of the issues with link building is when you go to set up directories and your Yelp, Yellow Pages, and all of your listings, your Avo profiles, oftentimes you only get to choose one location to set as the destination URL, and most of the time it's the home page. So there needs to be a method of taking the link equity, the backlink equity that you receive, and dispersing it to all of your content. And one primary method of doing that is through the sitemap. So if we were looking at, this is Levine Injury Firm again, I just scrolled down to the footer, hit sitemap. It's going to have links to all of the copy that he's created on his site. Now here's again, and this is a client of ours, so they're using our best practice here. Montgomery County bicycle accident lawyer. reason why this firm just completely dominates the search engine rankings is because of these low-hanging fruit types of things, the permalink. But let's go back to the sitemap. Because the sitemap is located in a site-wide location, that means the link equity that hits this page will travel through this and then disperse to all of these pages. Otherwise, the pages that would receive the majority of the link equity would be these located in the menu. And as you can see, there's only a few pages, and things like free consultation, contact, and testimonials, to be honest, we don't even want to receive link equity. And if I was going to optimize this site even further, these pages would be set to no follow so that we could prevent the link equity to going to them. Something else which kind of opens the door, and I won't cover it too long, but let's say you have a link opportunity and you're considering possibly doing a donation for a charity like Creative Commons, or participating in something legitimate, and you're considering whether or not to pursue it to get a backlink. If you see that they have hundreds of links on the page, that equity is diluted. So it's just important that you use your menu strategically, and also the content that you're including be created strategically in your sitemap. I know I've talked a lot about Yoast, but Yoast has a great sitemap creator. So if you don't have one set up and you're trying to get all of these on-site elements catered to your website, Yoast is a great platform. They even have some tutorials on the schema setups. And here's another site that I like, just to kind of help you guys out. The site's called bountify.co. You can actually go here and ask any web development question you want. So if you're kind of a hands-on person and you're having some difficulties with something regarding your website, it could literally be anything. You can post a bounty to ask a pool of web developers what to do, and you can do it for as little as $5 to $10. And the other little nugget that I'm going to give you, all of these questions are indexed, and if you ask a question with your URL in the topic, you'll actually get a backlink too. So not only will you get help answering your question, but you get a backlink from this site as well. So it's going to help your SEO twofold. So back to the report here, or back to the PowerPoint. So the other thing about the sitemap that I forgot to mention is you want to put it in the footer or in a site-wide location, but you also want to submit it to your Google Search Console. If you don't have Google Search Console set up, that's something very important. It's a free Google tool. It will tell you what HTML improvements there are on your site, any crawl errors you have, and if you submit the sitemap there, it can help Google determine where your pages are and help them crawl them more quickly. Internal linking. So the biggest thing I can tell you for internal linking is the menu is essential to dispersing equity, as well as your sidebars. Let me click through to one. All right here, okay, because this disperses the link equity from this page to other pages. So the sitemap helps with that as well. But let's talk about the internal linking. The biggest thing that I can tell you is it needs to be helpful for the consumer, and it needs to be natural. Don't just take all of your blogs, and when you say the word car accident or car accident lawyer, shoot them over to the legal service page. That's not a helpful experience for the consumer. You can do that in some of your call to actions areas, but you want to link and interweave popular content. So let's say you have a page that's ranking incredibly well, that has authority. You can, when you create new content, you can insert an internal link on that page to help benefit the new page. It's also, if you have established authority for a topic, That's how you can scale as well. And the other thing I can tell you about internal linking is the more of it you do, the longer you can keep an individual on the site. So your bounce rate numbers will improve. And those bounce rate numbers are shown in Google Analytics. So if you have in the high 80 to 90 percentiles, internal linking will help. The other thing it does is it keeps the consumer on the page longer. So if they're on the page, it tells Google that they're having a better experience. So internal linking can help with that. Images, high quality content, videos, all of these can provide a profound impact and benefit for your on-site SEO. I'm not going to stay too long on this. There's a robots.txt file. You can type in yoursite.com/robots.txt. If you see that you're preventing anything from getting crawled, you need to take a look at this and remove those. In the past, Google used to recommend blocking, some spam, some robots and things like that. But now just you want to keep it pretty wide open. One of the tests that you can do is if you type in the word site, I'm just going to use Levine Injury Firm. It's going to show you if your site's indexing properly. And you can do that for individual pages too. So let's just take Dolman's car accident page here. So I can see that it is indexing properly. So let's say you're creating a ton of content, you're doing all the best practices for on-site SEO. You may want to check a site search to make sure it's indexing properly. There are some settings within Yoast. This brings up another point. Sometimes you're going to have categories and tag pages. It's very important that you set these to no index so that you avoid duplicate content issues. If you do keep, let's say, category pages, just make sure that your categories have unique content on them. I'd take a look at that. If you do a site search and you have tens of thousands of pages indexed and you don't have that much content written, there's probably something wrong with your settings and the Yoast tool and how you're indexing properly. Canonicalization. So the main thing to know here is you can insert what's called a rel equals canonical tag on content that's similar. So let's say there's a situation where you have one big piece of content, maybe it's statistics or something that's just very helpful for the consumer. You can wrap a rel canonical tag around that section to emphasize there is a source. This will help avoid any duplicate content penalties. If you think you may be experiencing any duplicate issues, you've done everything right that you can think of, I recommend a site called siteliner.com. It's going to tell you how much duplicate content you have on your site. It's going to show you which pages are the main violators, and it's also going to show you what words are duplicate. So if you've done everything right, you're still not ranking as well as you think you should, possibly look at duplicate content issues, and siteliner.com is a great tool. There's two main methods of dealing with duplicate content. The first method you can use is using the rel canonical tag. The second method is you can actually just merge content, delete, do what's called a 301 redirect to remove the page. I know that's a little bit more technical, but if you're experiencing this, I would just say, if you're having difficulty, you can try out bountify.co if you're a hands-on person, or if you want us to help, Chris@rankings.io, and we're happy to help. Just kind of shoot us an email. We're happy to help with that. But the rule of thumb is you need to have unique content on each landing page. The next thing that Google's putting a significantly higher emphasis on is page speed. So if you have a poor loading site, it is going to greatly impact your ability to rank. How you can test this, there's a couple methods. There is a tool called Page Speed Insights that after you enter a URL, it will show you what needs to be fixed. And you can actually download the optimized version of the page to improve the speed of the page. things like compressing your images. Sometimes you have high resolution images maybe bogging you down. Maybe you have too much JavaScript or CSS above the fold. Maybe you're using a big slider on the website. All of those can impact your speed. And what happens is when you have a slow website, this is another called Test My Site, Think with Google, you can actually get some visitors to leave your site. So let me explain what this is. This percentage is the probability of a user leaving the website as a result of waiting for more than 3 seconds. So you're going to have a high percentage of people leaving if your site's slow. So this is something definitely that needs to be worked on and addressed, is your speed. You know, as we get into this age with, you know, technology improvements, there are things that have a dramatic impact in the search results. One of which is called accelerated mobile pages. So what you can do is you can actually insert this code to your website and it will automatically load the page. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but AMP or accelerated mobile pages is something that you should look into. And when you're on your phone and you do a query and you see the little lightning bolt next to the search result, that's an AMP-based result. Currently, there isn't a great supporter of landing pages for the AMP plugin for WordPress. However, on blogs, you can set it up on all of your blogs. You just need to be cautious with the rel conical use and the 404 errors that could occur with setting this up, and crawl errors that could occur. So just make sure if you're going to set your site up with accelerated mobile pages, just to check that. The next thing that Google, even recently in the last month, is really pushing hard is an SSL certificate, which gives you the HTTPS in the URL. Let me show you what this is. Right here is a secure site. This is using an HTTPS certificate, an SSL certificate, and it will actually give you an advantage in the search results. This is from 2014, guys, where Google says this is a ranking signal. And they say, you know, right now, it's a lightweight signal. However, in the future, it's going to be higher. So, you know, in 2014, they were stating this. They just made announcements within Google Search Console to everyone to get this SSL certificate set up. So if you don't have it set up, it's something to prioritize. And you can do this with your hosting provider. Oftentimes, it's only a couple $100. Just make sure that it's set up properly and all 301 redirects are in place. So to kind of summarize, all of these aspects are essentially rank brain. It's bounce rate, it's time on site, it's keyword usage. It's providing a high quality user experience for the consumer and answering all their questions and providing, you know, helpful information on the website. All of these attributes, the architecture affects rank brain, and that's what helps improve your website and the rankings for your website. The last thing I'll say is I would really make sure your website's mobile responsive, because Google has announced that in 2018 they're going to have a mobile first index. This really re-emphasizes the importance upon AMP and accelerated mobile pages. So if you don't have a mobile responsive site, you can go to Google mobile friendly testing tool. If you just kind of Google mobile friendly testing tool, you can determine if your site is mobile. If it's not, that's something very important to address. And guys, that's all I had for on-site SEO. I hope it was beneficial for you. And now we'll see if we'll take any of your guys' questions here at the end.
Hi, Chris. Right now, it looks like we don't have any Q&A submitted. So I think we're just going to wrap things up. And everyone, you will be getting a follow-up email with a recorded copy of this that you could review. And certainly you could contact Chris at rankings.io if you have any further questions. Oh, we have one question that just came up. Chris, what are good scores for page speed insight? What do you consider as a quality score?
I would try to get in the 80s at least. It's going to be really difficult to get in the 90s, especially if you have a lot of images, but I would try to shoot for the 80s. That's the biggest thing that's generally going to hold you down are your images. So you need to make sure that they're compressed properly and you're not using too many high resolution images.
Okay. Any other questions? Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you in our next webinar. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys.